currency manipulation. South Africa began this week to enroll South African participants in a clinical trial. Is that right? Namely, REPRIEVE, a full randomized trial to prevent vascular events in HIV. The program will focus on HIV-related heart disease amongst people living with HIV-Aids. The randomized trial to prevent vascular events in HIV, or REPRIEVE, is the largest randomized clinical trial to date to address the elevated risk of heart disease in people living with HIV. Now, from the United States National Institutes of Health, we are joined this morning by Dr. Carl Dieffenbach. Very good morning to you, Doc. Thanks for being with us.
Pleasure to be here with you.
Please tell us about the trial REPRIEVE that you've just launched.
So, in HIV-infected people who go on treatment, they can expect a fairly normal life expectancy. However, what we see as people age with HIV in the presence of antiretrovirals is they have an increased risk of heart disease, about a twofold risk of heart disease, and also an increase of stroke. Women with HIV have a higher risk of heart disease. So the purpose of this trial is really quite simple. By adding a drug called a statin, can you prevent this increased level of risk?
You talk about twofold, or that's 100% risk.
100% increase. In women, it's almost 200%.
And the kind of fallout or fatalities from that, is that also at an unacceptable level?
It absolutely is, because people aren't aware that they have this risk. Because usually people who are HIV infected don't necessarily have the usual risk factors of obesity, smoking, other lifestyle issues that somebody who is at risk of a heart attack normally would have. So HIV itself is a risk factor. So by adding the statin, trying to add the statin to their antiretroviral regimen, we're seeing if we can have an impact on this heart disease issue.
The response amongst South Africans living with HIV to this latest trial?
So far it's been very good. And so it's actually a really wonderful time to be here and to launch this trial, because the age limits on this trial are people over 40 or under 75. There aren't many clinical trials for people of this age group. So the fact that we can be talking about a trial in South Africa of people who are age 40 to 75 with HIV who are on antiretrovirals is a miracle of where we are in modern medicine. So it's a really good thing.
The drug, it's called
Pivastatin.
Pivastatin, okay. Yes. Now, how confident are you that this will bring the relief that you're seeking?
Well, again, so the whole point of running a clinical trial is to get the necessary evidence. Statins, as a class, work very well in HIV-negative people to prevent this kind of disease. But they have never really been used extensively in an HIV-positive population, particularly in cases where they are not necessarily meeting the risk criteria. So a preliminary small study was positive enough to make us want to go forward and launch a trial with 6,500 participants on 5 continents. So this is a big bet for us, and South Africa is going to play a major role in helping us answer this question.
Of course, South Africa is also busy with a vaccine trial, HIV vaccine trial that's going to last for quite a few years yet. Have you heard anything of the start or how matters are proceeding?
So actually I was here in South Africa on World AIDS Day in December to launch that trial. The launch went extremely well, and enrollment is also going well. But this is really a golden age of HIV prevention. In addition to the vaccine trial, we also have an ongoing study called AMP, which is antibody-mediated protection. And so far, we've enrolled almost 1,000 people in that study, and it's going incredibly well here in South Africa as well.
South Africa, is this the front line in the fight against HIV now, seeing the numbers that we have?
Well, South Africa is on the front line, but the beauty of this country is they have an incredibly well-informed populace, as well as a wonderful educational system, and the medicine and the physicians and the hospitals and the infrastructure to really perform research. They also have the regulatory capacity to handle these kinds of studies. So South Africa is the best kind of partner you can have to do these kinds of studies.
Will we see an HIV vaccine in our lifetime?
I sure hope so.
if you had to put a number on it, I know you're probably not a gambling man, but if you had to put a number on it, and if I had to tell you by 2030, I have a feeling that by then...
Oh, if you're going to give me till 2030, I think we'll not only have a vaccine, but also we will be able to cure a significant number of people with HIV infection.
Well, Dr. Dieffenbach.
So that's my bet.
Well, that's a very good bet, and that's great news to hear. Thank you very much for joining us here in our studio in Johannesburg. From the United States National Institutes of Health, Dr. Dieffenbach, and of course, they've just started a brand new trial. We're going to take a